Hi all, welcome to another video, and it's 13th of January today, and it's 11:03 p.m. and this is my second attempt at making this video. In the first attempt, I went on well for about 4 minutes, after which I started struggling and I had to collect my thoughts. I'm like, you know what, let me just restart, because all of these videos that I do, they're like one take videos, so everything that I have to say is just in one take, and there's no script or anything like that. I'm not reading anything that's written in front of me. I'm just saying straight um, whatever comes to mind. Um, so yeah, for this, I need to get my thoughts to be really, really structured. That doesn't always happen. Um, Sometimes I can't really hold that chain of thought and I get sidetracked and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, in today's video, I'll talk a little bit about how to run long running processes in Java. So, how to run a particular operation in Java API that will take about, say, 1 or 2 hours or more. I'll be talking a little bit about that. And I've also written some code and shared that on GitHub. I've got a new GitHub repository that just demonstrates this concept in terms of how to kick off a long running process in Java and or in a Java API in particular. So yeah, I'll talk about that. But before I go on to that, it's Saturday evening, and I've had a great evening. I've been home mostly for um, I've been home mostly for the duration of the day today. And just recently, while having dinner, I started watching this new TV show called Ted. Now, for those of you who know, uh, Ted was a movie about a talking teddy bear by Seth MacFarlane, and Seth MacFarlane is the guy who made Family Guy. It's a US TV comedy, animated comedy show, and so yeah, I love that show and I love that movie Ted, and I really, really love this TV show. It's just, I mean, if you're someone who's coming from Family Guy or having watched some of Seth MacFarlane's other stuff, you know what to expect and you know exactly what you're getting into, and it's hilarious. It's funny because obviously the reviews online for this new TV comedy called Ted, which is a live action comedy with that teddy bear. Um, the the reviews online aren't that great, but it doesn't really matter because this is made for a really specific type of demographic, and that's me. I'm the target demographic because I find it so funny. I still cannot stop laughing at it. Um, Seriously, it's such McFarlane humor. I mean, really, if you've seen that, if you've seen the other work, you know exactly what to expect. It's hilarious. I mean, I had a great time. If you're a fan of his work, please watch it and you'll enjoy it too. All right, so let's start with the main topic for today, and that is a Java API that has a long running operation. That takes a Java API that kicks off a long running operation, and how do you deal with the whole thing? Alright, so how do I put this? Let me give it some more thought. Okay. Alright, so let's think about an API, because an API would be, or any a REST API would typically be a request and response paradigm, request and response protocol. So it's just done HTTP now. So a client would send a request to the API, and the API would receive that request, do some processing, and return the response. So all of this, so while the API receives the request and by the time it returns the response, the client is waiting for a response to the request that the client sent. Now the client could be either UI or Postman or just using the curl command on the command line. So that's typically an API. But now if you say for example, if you're sending a request to an API that says okay, say run long running process, run the 2 hour process, something like that. Now when you do this, like obviously you can't for that request you can't block that request. You can't say that, okay, fine, you know what, I'll return a response to you in 2 hours. The client who sent that request can't keep waiting for 2 hours or 1 or 2 hours or however long it takes. um, that's not good. So how do we tackle such a scenario? So I'll talk and now I'll talk a little bit about how we do that in Java. So now, what you would do, what typically happens, and what I did in my most recent task at my day job when I had to build this thing was something like, when you send a request, you start a background process. Uh, so say it's a Java Spring Boot or a Java JC API. When the API receives the request, you start off a long running a background job. So, and you would do that asynchronously. So it would be non-blocking. So this whole process would be handled in non-blocking way. So once you receive the request, you return a response, maybe like 2 or 7 or something, and then that's it. You return a response, and then to acknowledge that you have received the request and the fact that you're going to start processing the request. And in the meantime, you kick off the job in the background. So how do we accomplish this? So in Java, um, Java has this is this is all concurrency related stuff. So Java's had threading, and Java's had executor service, and then Java also had futures. But from Java 8 onwards, they introduced this thing called completable future, which is really, really cool. I mean, completable futures are heaps of fun to work with. Really, I mean, it's awesome, and it's incredible just how simple it is and how easy it is to start using it. So to start off a long running process, which I just spoke about, I said 2 hours, 1 or 2 hours or 2 hours. What you would do is, like, once you receive the request, you initialize a completable future, and in that, um, a completable future would have like a bunch of methods. One of the methods is supply async. So supply async, what you do in supply async is like in typical, there'll be an inner class, and then you just in that one you kick off the long running task. Now, one of the things about completable future is that a completable future, and when it finishes, it returns a value. It could potentially return a value, should you want to. So in that case, the way you would do it is like, once you initialize the completable feature variable, and then that, say for example, completable feature angle brackets, is it angle brackets string, and then equals to completable feature dot supply async, and then in that, like, open brackets, and then double brackets, and then the lambda function, the inner class sign, and then that's it. You kick off the long running process, and then it would be a return. You'd have a return. You write a return statement for whenever that long running process finishes. What does it return? It returns maybe a string, and so what you need to know is that when you do all of this happens in the background. The Java API can still accept incoming requests, and it can still process all of this, but it will still have this task running in the background. That's the most awesome part about it, and that's, I think, for in modern programming, all of us, we have dealt with something like this. We all dealt with some form of multi-threading in our developing, in our engineering career. So yeah, so that's how you do it, and that's how it would typically works. And one of the beauty of the completable feature is that you can also chain multiple calls. So for example, see, I said that a completable feature can return a value. So once a completable feature, once a process finishes, if you've got another process that takes maybe another half an hour or like an hour, you could then chain that. So in that option, you can do like dot then apply or then accept or so on and so forth. You can actually, or then run. So you can chain together multiple completable features and to accomplish this long running process for your API. For you for in within your API. So alright, so that's it. Like that's the I've covered uh, most of the things that I wanted to cover, and now I mentioned earlier that I also created a a repository on GitHub for a Java API, and I'll just tell you about the name of it. So it's called the API is called the repository on GitHub is called Java Background Jobs Example. Uh, I'll obviously put a link to that repository in the description of this video. So do check it out, fork it, and then see if there's anything that you'd like to do with it, or if there's any way in which you feel I can make it better, or you can help me make it better. That would be terrific. Um, all right, cool. Um, that's pretty much it. So, all right. So hope you're well, and yeah. um, I hope you're well this evening, and I wish you well and live long and prosper. Until next time, bye. Why did you do that correctly? I wish you well and live long and prosper. Cheers. Bye.